Welcome back to another episode of the Underbed Railway. Apologies once again for the slowdown in videos. We've had another school break and I've been helping my sister get some jobs done around her new house. But progress is slowly being made. So we left off last time having given everything a brown base coat of paint, and this is where we got to. Now, it's always been my intention to have a road coming in over this bridge at the far end of the layout. It's going to come round past a cottage at the top of a hill, work its way down the hill, and I'm hoping to have a field on either side. Then when we get to the bottom of a hill, I'm going to have a station which will have its own car park. So I'm just drawing that in now, trying to use these cars for a idea of scale. Now I'm putting down some of this white modelling paste over the rough sketched out road surface, and this was just to level everything off on this board that I'm using for its second time, and I was going to paint on a road surface over this, so I needed something smooth, but I later decided that actually I was going to use some of this grey fine ballast, and I think this gives a much more natural looking road surface, more realistic. So I put down some PVA glue, scattered some over the top, and used this seam roller to try and get a nice flat surface. Then I was able just to fill in between the tracks here and get a nice level surface for this level crossing over in the corner. And I'm quite happy with the end result having done that. Then I used this little tool here just to make sure I had a nice smooth ramp coming on over the track, and it's worked out quite well. So with that all roughly how I want it to be and a result I was happy with, I then went round and gave everything a coat of the same PVA and water solution that I was using to set the ballast of the track. And as we go round, you're going to spot a lot of items of scenery such as the houses and vehicles and whatnot. Now a lot of these I've picked up from my local model shop, Great Eastern Models here in Norwich, and it's an absolute Aladdin's cave of everything model train related. They've got an excellent selection of second-hand items which is always changing, and it's managed to save me quite a bit of money. Not that any of this is working out to be overly cheap, but I have managed to keep costs down by getting some items there, such as that house that you can see. I believe both of the vehicles and the telephone boxes were all second-hand from Great Eastern Models. Now you'll see that I've taken the raised up section here back through to my kitchen, where I was able to access everything a bit easier than crawling around underneath a bed. But I'm just putting down exactly the same grey ballast and smoothing it off. The benefit here was over the plaster cloth that I've used to build the terrain itself. This has levelled everything out quite nicely and it's looking a lot better than it did. And then I'm just using this brown ballast that I had lying around to try and create a driveway for the cottage coming off on the corner there. Now I'm not entirely sure how happy I am with this, so this may change, but for now we're going to go with that, and then I'm just sealing everything again with the PVA and water solution, and I'm hoping it dries a little bit lighter than it is turning when I'm putting this on, but overall I'm much happier with this result than I would have been if I'd just painted a flat black sort of road texture in the centre. Now I know I've already painted the ground surface entirely brown everywhere, but I've now decided I'm going to go around and cover everything with this PVA glue and then scatter some universal ground texture, and this is the universal ground texture from True to Scale, I believe, that I've seen other people use, and I'm a lot happier with the way that it looks, even though I'm aware a lot of it's going to be covered with static grass. I just want to put this down because I'm not entirely sure what is going to go over the top of this yet, and this, having it all covered, will give me the freedom to put down whatever I want without having to go back and fill in any gaps later. Now as I go round and I just finish off this raised up section here, then I'll move on to the lower ground level, and once I'd done this upper section I hoovered off everything that hadn't stuck, and it actually recovered quite a lot of the ground texture that I could then use on the lower level here, which is why you'll notice that as I scatter it down here it's a lot more lumpy than it was originally. So as we approach the end of this task, I'm going to try my hand at quite an exciting task which is laying some static grass. Now I've chosen a section from the far end of a layout which won't be particularly visible, and I'm using some of this 2mm summer static grass, and this is just a cheap, I think it was about £20 from Amazon, static grass applicator. It just takes a couple of AA batteries. So this is one of the far wall sections which will be right at the head end of the bed, and it will just go around the back of a layout. So firstly I'm just covering this foam board top with some of the universal ground texture, and you can see it's picked up quite a few lumpy bits since it was new, but it does go a long way. And as you can see, I've got this small hoover here just to recover any excess. And with that done, it's time to go around, give everything a second coating of just neat PVA glue, and this is so that the grass has something to stick to. And with this done, I'm just about ready to put down some of my first ever static grass. And it's, like I say, the 2mm summer grass from World Scenics. And with the negative terminal attached there, I'm just going around and shaking out the grass from the applicator, and for a base coat I'm quite happy with that.